The peaceful deception, setting the stage. The galaxy knew humans as traitors and diplomats. For 300 years since first contact, Earth had played the role of the friendly neighbor, always negotiating, always seeking peaceful solutions. The Galactic Council viewed humans as useful but weak, perfect for handling trade disputes and minor conflicts. Captain Ross Mitchell commanded the merchant vessel Harmony, one of hundreds of human ships that moved goods between star systems. His crew of 12 had never seen combat, trained only in basic self-defense. They carried medicine to the outer colonies, food to struggling worlds, and hope to those who needed it most. The alien races had grown comfortable with this arrangement. The reptilian Keth dominated military affairs with their massive dreadnoughts. The insectoid Vex controlled manufacturing with their hive mind efficiency. The crystalline Lux managed communications across the galaxy with their natural telepathic networks. Humans, they handled the boring stuff. Admiral Vale, humanity's representative to the Galactic Council, smiled politely as the other species made their grand pronouncements. He nodded when they spoke of human limitations, agreed when they suggested humans stick to what they did best. Behind his calm expression, he kept humanity's greatest secret. Earth had never stopped preparing for war. Every human child learned 2 curricula. The public one focused on peace and cooperation, and the hidden one that taught strategy, tactics, and the cold mathematics of warfare. Every merchant ship carried concealed weapons. Every trade route had been mapped for military advantage. Every diplomatic mission gathered intelligence. The galaxy's 3 major powers, the Keth Empire, Vex Collective, and Lux Federation, had grown arrogant. They saw humans as useful pets, clever enough to solve problems but too weak to threaten anyone. This perception was carefully cultivated and absolutely false. When the Keth attacked the human colony on New Geneva, they expected quick surrender. 12,000 civilians lived there, protected only by a small security force. The Keth commander broadcast his demands: submit to Keth rule or face extermination. He gave them one standard day to decide. The colonists sent a simple message back to Earth: they want us to kneel. That message traveled through hidden quantum channels, reaching every human world simultaneously. In military bunkers buried deep beneath Earth's surface, computers that had waited centuries finally activated. Sleeper agents across the galaxy received their orders. Merchant vessels began shedding their peaceful disguises. Captain Mitchell received his orders while docked at Centauri Station. His hands didn't shake as he opened the sealed packet that transformed him from trader to military commander. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, pulling weapons from hidden compartments, activating systems that had been disguised as cargo processors. The Harmony wasn't a merchant ship anymore. She was the Retribution, and she had teeth. Similar transformations occurred throughout human space. Freighters became destroyers. Passenger liners revealed missile batteries. Mining operations unveiled fortress-class defensive platforms. The galaxy's most peaceful species had spent 3 centuries preparing for this exact moment. Admiral Vale stood before the Galactic Council as news of New Geneva's attack spread. The Keth representatives spoke proudly of their police action against human criminals. The Vex clicked their approval. The Lux hummed agreement. Vale listened politely, then stood to address the chamber. The Galactic Council has failed to protect human citizens, he said, his voice carrying none of its usual diplomatic warmth. Therefore, Earth withdraws from all treaties and accords. We will handle this matter ourselves. The Keth representative laughed. With what? Your merchant fleet? Vale's smile was cold as winter. No, with our military. What military? The Vex delegate buzzed. Humans have no military forces. We've had a military for 800 years. Vale replied. We've just been polite enough not to use it. The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Humans had no weapons, no soldiers, no warships. Everyone knew this. It was established fact. Vale activated his communicator. Execute Order 1. Across the galaxy, the masquerade ended. Human merchants began broadcasting on military frequencies. Colonies revealed massive defense grids. Peaceful research stations transformed into forward operating bases. The Keth fleet that had attacked New Geneva found themselves surrounded by ships that hadn't existed moments before. Captain Mitchell's voice crackled across their communications. The first strike. Humanity shows its fangs. The Keth fleet around New Geneva had never faced real resistance. For centuries, they had bullied smaller species into submission through overwhelming force. Their massive dreadnoughts could crack planets, and everyone knew it. Captain Mitchell watched the enemy formation through his tactical display. 12 Keth warships surrounded the human colony, their weapons charged and ready. The alien commander had broadcasted his final ultimatum an hour ago. Surrender or die. Sir, his weapons officer reported, all human vessels are in position. Mitchell nodded. Where the Keth saw empty space, 50 human ships waited in perfect ambush formation. Stealth technology developed over 3 centuries made them invisible to alien sensors. The enemy had no idea they were already surrounded. Open a channel to all ships, Mitchell ordered. Today we stop pretending to be weak. The human fleet dropped their stealth fields simultaneously. 50 warships materialized around the shocked Keth force, weapons locked and loaded. The aliens had expected to face a helpless colony. Instead, they found themselves outgunned and outmaneuvered. Keth vessels. Mitchell broadcast, "You attacked human civilians. That was your first mistake. Your second was assuming we couldn't fight back." The Keth commander's reply crackled with rage and disbelief. "Impossible. Humans have no military fleet. We've had one longer than your species has existed," Mitchell said calmly. "We just never needed to use it before." The battle lasted 18 minutes. Human weapons technology, developed in secret for generations, tore through Keth shields like paper. Rail guns fired projectiles at incredible speeds, while plasma cannons melted armor that had never been breached. The aliens' massive ships, built for intimidation rather than efficiency, became easy targets for humanity's smaller, faster vessels. Not a single human ship took serious damage. The Keth fleet was completely destroyed. News of the massacre spread across the galaxy within hours. The 3 major powers held emergency sessions, trying to understand what had happened. Humans weren't warriors. Everyone knew this. They were merchants, diplomats, peacekeepers. On Earth, President Davis addressed the planet from the war room beneath the Pacific Ocean. The facility had been built 400 years ago, hidden from alien observation satellites. Banks of computers processed tactical data from across the galaxy, while holographic displays showed human forces moving into position. "My fellow humans," Davis began, "for 3 centuries we have lived a lie. We pretended to be weak while building the strongest military force in galactic history. We smiled and traded while preparing for the war we knew would come." The president's image was broadcast to every human world, every hidden base, every sleeper agent embedded in alien society. The message was simple. The masquerade was over. Today we defend not just New Geneva, but the principle that no one attacks humanity without consequences. We have tried peace. Now we show them more. Admiral Stone commanded the human response from his flagship, the Vengeance. The ship had posed as a deep space research vessel for decades, slowly moving through alien space while mapping every military installation, every weakness, every target of opportunity. Phase 2 is approved, he told his fleet commanders. Strike the Keth home system. The attack on Keth Prime came without warning. Human ships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, having used alien trade routes to approach undetected. The planet's orbital defenses, designed to stop conventional attacks, were useless against humanity's advanced weapons. Within 6 hours, every Keth military installation in the system was destroyed. The aliens' main fleet base became a field of debris. Their command center, built into an asteroid, was cracked open and gutted. Their proud warrior culture watched helplessly as centuries of military buildup vanished in a single day. But humanity wasn't finished. The Vex Collective had supported the Keth attack, providing intelligence and tactical support. Their punishment came next. Human sleeper agents, posing as trade representatives for decades, activated simultaneously across Vex space. Manufacturing centers exploded. Communication hubs went dark. Supply lines collapsed. The hive mind species found their perfect coordination turned against them. Human cyber warfare specialists had spent generations studying Vex neural networks. When they struck, the aliens' greatest strength became their greatest weakness. The Lux Federation tried to remain neutral, claiming they had no part in the attack on New Geneva. Their crystalline forms made them natural diplomats, and they frantically transmitted peace proposals to human forces. Admiral Vale's response was broadcast across the galaxy. You stood by while innocents died. Your neutrality is complicity. Human forces began moving toward Lux space. Within 72 hours of the first attack, humanity had crippled 2 galactic powers and threatened the third. Species that had ruled the stars for millennia found themselves helpless against an enemy they had never bothered to understand. The galaxy's minor powers watched in terror as humanity's true nature was revealed. These weren't the peaceful traders they had known. These were predators who had been waiting centuries for the right moment to strike. And they were just getting started. The galaxy reacts. When prey becomes predator, emergency sessions convened across the galaxy as news of humanity's attack spread. The Galactic Council chamber, usually filled with dignified debate, erupted in panic. Representatives from dozens of species demanded answers that no one could provide. The Keth ambassador, one of the few survivors from their devastated fleet, stood before the assembly with his scales dulled by shock. They came from nowhere, he reported, his voice barely controlled. 50 ships appeared like ghosts. Our sensors detected nothing until they chose to be seen. Council Speaker Thane, an elderly member of the peaceful Oran species, struggled to maintain order. For 800 years, the Council had maintained stability through careful balance of power. Now that balance was shattered. How long have humans possessed this technology? Demanded the Vex representative, her compound eyes reflecting the chamber's emergency lighting. Our intelligence showed no military development. That's because we weren't looking for it, admitted General Corps of the Hegemony Defense Force. We monitored their public communications, their trade routes, their diplomatic channels. If they had a secret military network, we never found it. The truth was more disturbing than any of them realized. Humanity had built their war machine in plain sight, disguised as civilian infrastructure. Every human colony had underground bunkers labeled as emergency shelters. Every trade route was mapped for military logistics. Every diplomatic mission gathered intelligence on alien defenses. Dr. Lyra, the Council's chief intelligence analyst, presented her findings to the shocked assembly. We've analyzed the human attacks. Their weapons technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything we possess. Their tactical coordination suggests a command structure we never detected. Their ship designs are completely unknown to our databases. The implications were staggering. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for war while convincing everyone they were pacifists. Every trade agreement had been a scouting mission. Every diplomatic negotiation had been intelligence gathering. Every peaceful gesture had been a lie. They'd been studying us, Corps realized aloud, learning our weaknesses, mapping our defenses, planning their attacks. We thought they were our friends. The Lux Federation's crystalline representative pulsed with worried energy. Our preliminary analysis suggests humans have been genetically modified for warfare. Their reaction times, their coordination, their tactical thinking, it's beyond baseline human parameters. This revelation sent new shockwaves through the assembly. If humanity had been breeding super soldiers while pretending to be merchants, what other deceptions had they maintained? Ambassador Reek of the Spiral Alliance raised a disturbing question. If they've been preparing for war this long, why wait? Why reveal themselves now? The answer came from an unexpected source. A human transmission, broadcast on all frequencies, reached the council chamber. Admiral Vale's image appeared on every screen, his expression cold and professional. "Members of the Galactic Council," he began, "you are witnessing the end of an experiment. For 3 centuries, humanity tested whether peaceful coexistence was possible. We offered friendship, trade, and cooperation. We asked only to be left alone." The assembly listened in stunned silence as Vale continued. "The attack on New Geneva proved that peace with your species is impossible. You respect only strength. Very well. You will have all the strength you can handle." The transmission shifted to tactical displays showing human forces throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked human ships, bases, and installations. There were thousands of them, hidden in systems thought to be empty, disguised as civilian facilities, or simply overlooked by aliens who had never bothered to look carefully. "Every human world is now a fortress," Vale announced. "Every human ship is now a weapon. Every human citizen is now a soldier. We tried to be your friends. Now we will be your masters." The transmission ended, leaving the Council in chaos. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia found themselves facing an enemy they had never understood. Humanity hadn't just been hiding weapons, they had been hiding their entire nature. General Corps attempted to rally the remaining military forces. "We need to coordinate a response. If we combine our fleets, we can still match their numbers." But the attacks had been too precise, too devastating. The Keth military was gone. The Vex manufacturing centers were destroyed. The Lux communication networks were compromised. The galaxy's 3 major powers had been crippled in a single coordinated strike. Smaller species began to panic. If humanity could destroy the great powers so easily, what hope did minor worlds have? Surrender offers began flooding human communication channels. President Davis, speaking from Earth's hidden war room, addressed these pleas with cold logic. "Surrender is not acceptable. You allowed the strong to prey on the weak. You stood by while innocents died. Your complicity makes you equally guilty." The message was clear. Humanity would not be satisfied with victory. They wanted justice, and they would take it from everyone who had failed to stop the aggression against New Geneva. The galaxy was learning a harsh lesson about the species they had underestimated for so long. Humans weren't just capable of war, they were brilliant at it. The New Order. 6 months after the first strike, humanity controlled half the galaxy. Not through occupation, but through systematic destruction of any force that opposed them. Species that had ruled for millennia found themselves begging for mercy from the peaceful traders they had once patronized. Commander Blake led the assault on the hegemony's last stronghold. The fortress world of Titan's Gate had never fallen in 800 years of warfare. Its shields could withstand stellar bombardment. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. Its defenders had never known defeat. They lasted 4 hours against human forces. "Target the shield generators," Blake ordered, watching as his ships moved with perfect coordination. Human tactics had evolved beyond anything the aliens understood. They didn't attack fortifications directly. They attacked the systems that supported them. Precision strikes took out power relays. Cyber attacks corrupted targeting computers. Infiltration teams, led by humans who had lived among the aliens for decades, sabotaged critical systems from within. The fortress that had protected the hegemony for centuries crumbled without firing a single effective shot. General Corps, the last military leader of significant resistance, surrendered from his command bunker deep within the planet's core. His transmission reached human forces just as they breached his final defenses. "I don't understand," he said, his 4 arms hanging in defeat. "We studied human history. You fought among yourselves constantly. Civil wars, world wars, endless conflicts. How did you become so unified?" Blake's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "We learned from our mistakes. Every human war taught us lessons. Every defeat made us stronger. While you grew comfortable with easy victories, we studied the art of warfare itself." The truth was more complex than Blake revealed. Humanity's secret military development had been guided by their greatest strategic minds for centuries. Every conflict in human history had been analyzed, every tactical innovation preserved and improved. While aliens fought the same wars their ancestors had fought, humans had revolutionized warfare itself. On Earth, President Davis met with his cabinet in the deep bunkers that had hidden humanity's true government for generations. The surface world, with its peaceful cities and diplomatic centers, had been an elaborate stage. The real decisions had always been made in these hidden chambers. Status report, Davis requested. Secretary of War Chen pulled up holographic displays showing human-controlled space. 80% of major military installations are neutralized. The Keth Empire has ceased to exist as a political entity. The Vex Collective is fragmenting without their central coordination. The Lux Federation is requesting immediate surrender negotiations. And civilian casualties? Davis asked. Minimal, Chen replied. Our precision targeting has been effective. We're destroying military capability while preserving infrastructure and population centers. This was humanity's true strategic advantage. They didn't wage war like the brutal aliens who had dominated the galaxy. Human warfare was surgical, precise, designed to destroy resistance while preserving the capacity to rebuild. They weren't conquerors seeking slaves. They were judges delivering justice. Admiral Stone's fleet reached the galactic capital of Centrum Prime, the seat of council power for 1,000 years. The planet's defenses were formidable, but they had been designed to repel conventional attacks. Human forces used unconventional tactics that rendered those defenses useless. Instead of attacking the planet directly, they surrounded it completely. Every ship that tried to leave was captured. Every communication was monitored. Every supply line was cut. The galactic government found itself isolated and helpless, watching as their empire crumbled around them. Council Speaker Thane's final transmission was broadcast throughout human space. We surrender unconditionally. Please, show mercy to our people. President Davis's response was heard by every species in the galaxy. Mercy was what we offered for 3 centuries. You chose war. Now you will live under our justice. The terms of surrender were not negotiable. Every species would disarm completely. All military technology would be turned over to human forces. Interstellar travel would be regulated by human authorities. The Galactic Council would be dissolved and replaced by human administrators. But humanity's vision went beyond simple conquest. They had studied galactic civilization during their centuries of patient observation, and they had found it wanting. The strong preyed on the weak. Aggressive species dominated peaceful ones. Resources were wasted on endless conflicts between petty empires. Under human rule, this would change. We offer you something your species have never known, Admiral Vale announced to the defeated galaxy. True peace, not the peace of exhaustion after war, but the peace of justice enforced by those strong enough to maintain it. The human system was simple and effective. Species that accepted human authority would be protected and prospered. Those that resisted would be destroyed. There would be no middle ground, no negotiations, no exceptions. Within a year, humanity had accomplished what the Galactic Council had failed to achieve in 1,000 years of existence. The galaxy was united under a single authority, free from the constant warfare that had plagued it for millennia. The price of this peace was absolute submission to human will.